Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico with the Creativity Cave, and I'm super excited to share with you this awesome watercolor card featuring the Country Birdhouse bundle, which is part of the larger Country Woods suite in our brand new catalog. You can check that out on pages 50 and 51 in our new catalog. You can see there's two bundles in this suite, some designer series paper, actually two designer series papers, an embossing folder, ribbon, and pearls. So much fun stuff in here. Now I'm going to showcase a really cool project that I created featuring a fun watercolor technique. And of course, you know I love watercoloring. And I think I'm especially excited because I am opening a registration up just a little later today for the Watercolor Happy course that is coming, and I'm so excited about it. So I think it'll be live when this video goes live. If not, it's coming later today. But this is going to be just an amazing 6-week course that is just full of fun. Oh, look, I have a cute little graphic for it. So let's get started, and I'm going to show you a fun technique that you can do with watercoloring. Now, the key to watercoloring, whatever you're doing, is to have watercolor paper. So I'm using our Fluid 100 watercolor paper that we carry. And we're going to take this piece, which is 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and we're just going to create a wash of color. And so I'll start by just putting some water down. So I'm using my water painter, and I'm literally just going to put water, clean water, down onto this paper. I'm not going all the way to the edges. I'm kind of leaving maybe a 1/4 of an inch border, but I'm not being super perfect about it at all. And then I'm going to take the ink from my ink pads to create this wash. So I'm going to be using Pool Party, Soft Seafoam, and Old Olive, and then we'll add some crushed curry here in a little bit. So I'm going to start with my Soft Seafoam, and I'm just going to give my ink pad a squeeze to the lid. You can also take re-inkers and add ink that way. You can see not much happened there. Soft Seafoam is already a really light color, but we're just going to add a couple drips of our re-inker in the lid here, and then I'm going to pick that up with my water painter brush, and you can see there we go. So I've got a nice little green kind of base color. Now this is starting to dry out as I'm talking, so I'm just going to put a little more water on there because I want to make it, or I want it to stay wet for the cool technique that we're going to do. Now I am using a little jar of water just off the screen here. I'll bring it in. It's just a little mason jar. And the reason for that is because on techniques, especially like this, where I use so much water, I would be constantly running back to the sink to refill this, and that kind of makes me crazy. So I'm just going to use a little water to help the process. Now I've also got my re-inker, or I thought I did, yes, of Pool Party. So let's just add a little bit of that because, like I said, it's so light. These are already light colors, but we want to make sure we can see them on our background. So there we go. So there's our background. You can see it's still shiny. Look, the water's dripping, and that's just fine for this. It doesn't matter if they mix and mingle. We just kind of have a little bit of green and a little bit of Pool Party. Now, I decided that green was really light, so I wanted to add a little darker shade of green. So to do that, I'm going to rinse my brush out. And it helps, by the way, to have like a little paper towel or a rag handy that you can wipe your brush off on. So I have that just sitting right here. I'm going to pick up a little bit of Old Olive just to add a little bit more color to this. Okay, but I still like having that base of the Soft Seafoam because I think that's a really nice kind of base color. And we'll just blend that with a little water. Again, things are still wet. Now we're going to bring in the magic, which is kosher salt. You can use everything from table salt to kosher salt like this. You could do it right out of your shaker, or like I have a grinder salt shaker, and I'm just sprinkling this on here. And what happens is the salt is going to absorb some of that color as well as the water and create a really cool effect. So it's a nice little background. And so what you want to do is you want to set this aside and let it dry completely. Okay. So I've got one over here that I already did, and this is pretty dry, I think. And so then what I want to do is the salt should just kind of rub off. And then what's left, and by the way, you can actually reuse this salt if you want. So I'm just scraping it off, and you can see it leaves a fun little textured background behind, and that is just so cool. There's so many things you can do with this technique, but this was just a quick, easy way to show you how it works. And these are the kinds of things we're going to learn in our watercolor course that I have starting. And it will get started towards the end of June. And we're going to just have a blast with all of this, but this is just one of the techniques that we will learn. All right, now I'm going to take and add a sentiment to this. So, well, actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to stamp the little flower in this set. So there's this cute little flower, which I just love. Okay, so I'm taking my Stays On ink, that's a permanent black ink, and I'm just going to stamp that onto my little piece of watercolor paper here. We're going to color that here in just a second, but first I'm going to adhere this piece. Again, you want to wait till this is nice and dry before you adhere anything. And I'll just put some seal. Now, when I have watercolor paper, I like to put a little extra adhesive down because it does kind of buckle a little bit with the water. But it usually dries fairly flat. As you can see, this one has dried pretty flat. And I just adhered that to a panel of Pool Party cardstock. And then my card base is going to be Crumb Cake because it's a nice neutral color. And I didn't want to take away from the watercolor because I think it's just so pretty. But it's also pretty subtle. So this is a subtle background. Now I took a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch, so a quarter sheet of Crumb Cake, and embossed it with the embossing folder from this suite, which I just love. It's got that kind of lacy pattern, and I'm going to adhere that directly to my card like so, and it should just line up like that. And then I'm going to pop this up on top. And part of why I'm doing this is I'm giving this a chance to get nice and dry. I just re-inked my Stays On pad, so it's a little juicy, and I wanted to make sure it dried really well before I start watercoloring over it. It is a permanent ink, and it's black permanent ink, so it won't bleed when I watercolor over it, but if it's still wet when I start watercoloring over it, it could be an issue. All right, now I'm going to take my skinnier water painter. The water painter comes in a set of 3, so this is the skinnier one, and then we also used the wide wash brush. And I'm going to color this in with some Old Olive and some crushed curry. So I'll just open my ink pads for that. And oh, we're going to have just the best time. Now, this is a really tiny image that we're going to color, so there's not a ton of blending that's going to happen, but we're going to make the best of it. So I'm going to just put a little bit of water, just barely on here, and then I'm going to just touch this crushed curry ink in, and then it just will bleed into the water I put down. Sometimes you need to give it a little blending, which I will do here. And so what I'm trying to do is have a really dark area towards the base of my petal and then graduate out to a lighter area as the petal goes up. So you can see I've got that going on here. We'll repeat with the next little section. What I love about this little flower is it's easy to work with because it's pretty small. But one of the things that we'll talk a lot about in our course is how to do lots of blending and shading so that your watercoloring looks really wonderful, like a professional was doing it. And by the way, I don't actually consider myself a professional. I'm just enjoying playing around with watercolor. But I've learned so much along the way. I just can't wait to share all of the things that I've come to discover. And one of the things we're really going to have fun with is learning how to control the shading and blending so you get beautiful effects on your outline images when you're stamping. We're going to do that same process, this time with a leaf and some old olive ink. Okay, so I've just got a little dark down, and then I'm going to blend it out with some clean water. Oops, I just got a drip of water. Sometimes that happens, and that's why it's really awesome to have a little rag nearby so you can kind of soak up that excess. I'm actually going to bring in a Kleenex. Usually I have a paper towel with me, but I don't have any for this video at the moment. But we're going to continue, and we're going to just add that color and then blend it out to the tip of our leaf. And isn't that beautiful? Like I said, this is a tiny flower. It's a great way to practice. And then we'll graduate to larger images too. So that'll be lots of fun. Okay, now I'm going to let that dry for a minute. And actually, I happen to have one that I die cut already. So here we go. Here is what the final project looks like. So cute. Okay, we're going to take and add a sentiment to our card. So I just cut a 1 by 4 inch piece of my Fluid 100 watercolor paper, just so that everything is the same. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment on here. And since I was using my black ink before, I'll just use it again. Oh, you can see I just re-inked this. Hopefully that'll be okay. I think it will. I'll just stamp that on here. This is right out of my stamp set. It says, hoping you have the best day ever. I love that. And we're going to just add that popped up onto our card here. Oh, but you know what? I knew I was going to do this. I want to add some linen thread to this. I love linen thread for projects like this because it's such a nice, easy way to add kind of a natural trim to your project. And, ooh, maybe my problem is it was under my Kleenex. I was going to say I have linen thread somewhere. I forgot, well, I was going to slide it under here, but I think we'll just go around the whole card. That's easy enough. But what I want to do is tie it at the end. So I'm going to leave a little, like 6 to 8 inches off the end here. And then I'll wrap my linen thread around my card twice. So I'm kind of flipping this around. And let's get everything straightened on here, and then I'll tie it off on to this end. Now when I do that, we'll have the bow that will kind of stick out on the end of our sentiment, which is just perfect. And we'll kind of adjust those loops so they're not too big. And then I'll trim that down like so. Okay. Oh, sorry, it's curling up on me. And I'm twisting it in the wrong direction, so I'm making it worse instead of better. There we go. That looks good. All right. So I'm going to add my sentiment over the top, and I think the best way to do that is to just pop it up. And I'm going to use some of these edge pieces on here because that is a great way to both use these up and then kind of pop things up over the top of that linen thread like so. And I just love how soft and subtle this is. And then we're going to add our little flower right here. And how beautiful is this? Now, this was such a simple example of watercoloring. Believe me when I tell you, we are going to have so much fun with watercoloring in our class. You guys are going to love it. Now, if you would like more ideas with this amazing suite of products, we have an all-star video class bundle PDF that you can get either for $15 or for free when you place an order in my online store. I just dropped the sheet about it, but here we go. We have 12 just gorgeous projects featuring both bundles, and you will get tutorials that include both English and metric units for all of the projects, depending on the paper that you use wherever you live. And this is an instant download if you purchase it for $15, and then if you earn it for free, we will email it to you, usually within a day or so. And it is a really wonderful PDF. So I hope you loved my project. All of the supplies that I used for this are linked in the description below, as well as the link to my watercolor happy online course for Cardmakers. And I can't wait to inspire you with watercolor. It's going to be so much fun. All right, friends, have a great day. And don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel. There should be a little picture in the corner there so that you don't miss any awesome videos coming up. Thanks, friends. We'll see you soon. Bye.